Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. Now, this has really good and also really bad implications because some of the things that we train children to believe and to do, they have to unlearn. But I wanted to focus on something that some people don't value as much as they should. Reading. When I was young, my parents took me to my grandparents' house every summer, and I was there with my cousins. And from the time that I can remember, probably at 5 or 6, my grandmother took me to the library every week, and I would get a handful of books, and I would read those books during that week and take them back and get more books the next week. And every day of our summer vacation, we had to have a reading time. We had to have a school time. And guess who was a school teacher? Yours truly, because I was the oldest cousin. So I taught my cousins how to read. And again, like I told you, I read during the summer. And when I would go home, of course, we had a library at school. So I would take myself to the library. And before I went to 8th grade, I was in private school. And from 3rd grade to 7th grade, I read every single book in the children's section of our library. In fact, whenever there was a book report, my teacher, my English teacher, would literally have to call the librarian and say, "Hey, did you get any new books in?" Because I want to assign a book report to her, but I don't want her to do it on a book she's already read. I want her to have to read a new book just like everybody else has to read, a new book. And so literally they would have to look at my reading log of all the books I checked out and see if there was anything in their system that I hadn't read yet. And so I read, and I'm now 55 years old. And from the time I was 18 till now, I've read almost 52 books a year, every year since then. That's 37 years of reading 52 books a year. That's about 1,924 books. And a lot of what I read is nonfiction. So I read books on religion, on race relations and black culture, on relationships, on history, on women's studies, spirituality, world religions, economics, politics, history. Those are my favorite studies. Oh, and it's definitely self-development and self-care, but those are my favorite topics. So a lot of times when you see me post memes or do these little audios, I'm speaking not only from current events, but from 37 years of reading all these books on all these different topics. And I'm bringing that up because, people don't understand how much reading can shape your mind, shape your thoughts, cause you to be empathetic with those that are unlike you, cause you to see the world through multiple perspectives, expand your horizons, calm you down, give you access to things that you may never physically access, but you can access them through a book. You can go places that you would never be able to go to in real life. So books provide so much context. They provide so much access. I remember my father and my grandmother, who took me to the library, and my father both have passed. My grandmother passed in 2017. My father passed in 2016. So these are people that have been gone for a while, but their impact on me still exists. It still lives on. I remember my father telling me, you need to be a reader, because there used to be a saying, if you want to keep something from the black man or woman, put it in a book. And he was determined that nobody was going to keep information from him that was free to access, because he was going to read books and inform himself of his options and how he could transform his life. That was a powerful statement. And sometimes I think it's very true, because there are people who don't want to read, who don't see any value in reading, and they don't see any value in reading to their children. And again, children need to be exposed to books, because every type of learning that we have, whether it's learning history in school, whether it's learning math, whether it's learning how to write, all those things rely on a basis of vocabulary. And, I heard and I read a scientist say that we don't remember our earliest memories because we don't have the vocabulary to describe them. So the earlier that we get vocabulary, the earlier we can conceptualize what happens to us. And one of the things that I love about social media is the proliferation of information, because there are so many people who experience something, but they can't fully conceptualize it and fully understand it because they don't have a word for it. But then they learn a word like gaslighting, or, narcissist, or weaponized incompetence, or whatever it is. And now suddenly, not only do they know what happened to them, they know how they can research and find out more about what happened to them by just using that term and researching that term and what that term means and what the implications of that term are. So words literally cause us to understand the world around us. And when we don't have words, people can gaslight us, people can manipulate us, people can trick and fool us and deceive us, because we can't fully understand the complexity of issues. We can only understand very simple concepts. So the more that we read, the more that we can understand the world around us, the more we can understand ourselves, the more we can understand people. So it's very important to expose yourself to literature, to books, to articles, to reading, and expand your horizons. And so I hope that you would do that this year as we're going into 2026. May you walk in Zenergy. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. Now, this has really good and also